Hello, everyone. Welcome to another discussion of Monster. In this case, we are on volume 8 of the Perfect Edition, which corresponds to volumes 15 and 16 in the original. And wow, we are on the precipice, Merphy. We are teetering over the precipice here with only one more of these bind-ups to go, right?
Yeah, some of these characters are trying really hard to give us answers, and then other characters are trying really hard to stop that via
That's right.
boblockade.
Which is slightly frustrating for
A
those
little bit.
who want answers, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's both we're getting more opportunities for theories as we're getting more information, but it's also becoming more and more unclear. So I have no idea. I'm at this point, I'm a touch concerned that all of these loose threads can come together in a satisfying way in so few volumes that we have left.
Yeah, two, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one bind up though. Hey?
One bind up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot to wrap up in one bind up. We have to have the climax as well as all the answers and some sort of falling action.
Yeah. Although I will say it appears that Urasawa has positioned everyone
Yes.
at the point where these confrontations are about to happen.
Yes.
Stuff is about to go down, right?
Yes.
So it feels like I mean, at the end of this, the major confrontation that it seems to be occurring is, well, Nina and Johan are facing off, and there's a lot going on in her head in terms of, so who's the little girl that says welcome home, and who's the one coming in the door? And
Philip.
I'm more confused than I was in the previous bind up about who's who now, right?
Yeah, you should have seen me last night. I was messaging my friend and I was like, so then that one is Johan and that one's Nina, which means that this one, but wait, no, that doesn't make sense either. Like I was trying to make it work. And we'll talk it out. We'll talk it out.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm currently under the belief that this is two separate scenes that we are watching.
Oh.
Okay, let's talk it out right now.
Let's do
What
it.
if Okay. Oh gosh, it's too much, honestly. So Johann said, I left the Rose Mansion and came to you, and you said, welcome home to me. So now it's my turn to say it to you,
He said that.
welcome home. Okay.
Yeah.
So we know that Johann left the Rose Mansion and went to Nina, and he was walking through the door, right? You and I have already discussed the possibility that Johann has been dressed up as a girl,
Yes.
right? Okay. I'm sticking with that theory. I think that's what's going on, and that's why the guy thought that there was only one child. So that was him walking through the door. But we also know that Nina at some point was in the room reading the story, and a man walked through the door when she thought it was going to be Johann, and he snatched
Oh,
her,
okay.
right?
Okay.
So, and we've seen that image of Johann, well, of a little girl that looked twisted, smiling, saying, welcome home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this
That
one is
one,
actually kind of, the smile is more like genuine. It doesn't
you
look,
think that one looks less creepy?
I don't know. I'm liking your theory here. I'm liking it.
So I wonder if, and this doesn't fully work, I wonder if we've been witnessing two separate scenes, one with
Uh-huh.
Johann, one with Nina, one where
Oh.
maybe Nina was there, maybe Nina walked in and Johann said, welcome home. And then Johann said, I'll go get mom. And then he left. And she was waiting because she said, I was told to wait here in this room and read a book.
Yeah.
And then she remembered in the therapist office that a man came in and snatched her. Right, I'm back. So one of these was Johann coming into her, and then
Yeah.
he said, or I'm sorry, was her coming into Johann, and then him saying, now you wait here, I'll go get mom. And she was waiting for him and mom to come back, but instead the man came and snatched her up. But
Yeah.
that still doesn't fully work because Johann did say, I came to you and you told me, welcome back. So that doesn't line up either. So I don't know. My theory doesn't actually make sense, but I do think
Okay.
that this is potentially two separate scenes.
Yes, that I think you're absolutely right. We have two separate scenes. This is not the same scene as little girl greeting saying welcome home,
Uh-huh.
or we're being uh somewhat misguided, I think, or
Yes, we're getting
deliberately.
fractions of a scene and we're
Yeah,
assuming it's the same scene, but it's actually two
yeah.
children that look alike in a similar scene. That's my guess. But
Or
how that all works together, I don't actually know yet.
yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay, that makes sense. And it's the confusion we're experiencing. I think it works in a way because Nina is going through a similar kind of confusion as she's getting fragments of memories and trying to piece them together. So she's going through something similar to what we're experiencing. I think this level of confusion is perhaps deliberate and appropriate in a way, because we're having her sort of POV as she's trying to put this all together. And it seems like you were right also when you said, I'm afraid Nina probably did something that she doesn't want to remember, maybe. What do you think of that? Are you still feeling like that's the case, or
Yeah, I think Nina definitely feels like she's done something. It
hmm,
seems like these children were, in one way or another, forced to do something,
right?
and she's remembering that, and that's the piece that we're still not getting.
Right.
And I don't know, she keeps saying really abstract things that kind of come off like she thinks that she needs to kill Johann and then kill herself.
Yes, yes. One thing that we both kind of sort of got wrong, well, not kind of sort of, but did. Bonaparte is not the
Not
biological.
bio dad.
Right. He's not the biological
No.
father of the twins. It's some random soldier guy who had a conscience and wanted to run away with the mother, and they got caught because they were part of this experiment, and apparently he fell right into the trap, and blah blah blah. And we're probably never going to know their names, I guess, the parents.
Well, we know Anna's name.
Yeah, the mother is Anna. Yeah.
Yeah,
She was given her name back by creepy Bonaparte.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that that's a big part is when they were doing this sort of breeding experiment, creating the perfect race, they snatched their names as a part of dehumanizing them
Yeah.
and being able to use them as objects, as uh, a means to an end, and probably also detaching them from their humanity so that they could force them to do stuff, which seems like a very effective tool to removing someone's identity. It seems to have worked really well with Johann in how he's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know my identity. I don't know my name. Um, but
Yeah.
yes, we do know that Anna was given back her name, Anna, but she also wasn't allowed to name the twins,
Right.
which means
I have
that
names. I have names.
yeah, which
Yeah.
means that Nina was also named Anna. So I do wonder if maybe were all these kids given uniform names? Like every
Oh.
girl was Anna, every boy was Johann?
Hmm. Yeah. To further dehumanize them in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do. We got glimpses of how much the mother tried to resist all this, running away multiple times, once with her spouse, and then another time on her own with twins. And she keeps trying to say, I have names. It's kind of disturbing how controlled she seems to have been, and how the act of drawing her seems to be a claim of ownership over her
Mm.
on the part of Bonaparte. It's kind of, I mean, I like drawing a lot, so I didn't that upset me
Oh,
that
yeah.
this was kind of his way of making her into a thing almost,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
putting her on the wall and
yeah.
all that. And like, I own you. I can do what I want with you.
He definitely viewed these people as objects. And
Yeah,
Johann said at one point, he said, the monster inside of me is actually outside of me. Speaking of Bonaparte.
Bonaparte. Yeah,
Hmm.
who
So I
apparently is
is
still
still
alive.
alive. I'm not surprised at that. I figured he
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Um, I think that he's right, though. Johann certainly has done a lot of monstrous things, and I still consider Johann a monster, but he's
sure.
also a product of a bigger monster.
Yeah,
And I think he's right that the true monster of the story all along has been Bonaparte and how he's turned these children into, Grimmer being this very tortured
yeah,
person who's not been able to live a life after this, a true life. And then Johann, who's a very tortured person who's not been able to escape what he was made into. Um, yeah, Bonaparte is the true monster of the story for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely with and speaking of the resistance, the mother does have this thing to say, at least my twins are gonna get you, right?
Mom of the Year award right there.
Yeah, I mean, she is resisting as much as she possibly can.
She
And
is.
that
I
might prove
don't know how I
prophetic,
feel about teaching her children to grow up to get revenge.
weaponizing these kids for,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, that could have just been an in the moment impassioned speech, but oof, that's rough, buddy.
yeah. We keep getting introduced to more and more of these characters who are part of this experiment. There's that the Czech guy Peter Kapek. I'm totally not saying his name right, but it's a C with a funny little symbol on it, Apek. I do not know how to pronounce Czech
Which
name.
one's this? Is this the bodyguard?
He's the guy
Or
with the
is this
glasses guy.
Oh,
Uh,
Peter. Right, right,
yeah,
right, right, right. Yes,
glasses
he's
guy who was
very involved.
basically Bonaparte's henchman. He
Yeah,
was recruited by Bonaparte, and he was the friend of the dentist whom he betrayed by experimenting on his son and making all these kids commit suicide and all of that. So he's part of this. We also get there's just like all these creeps sort of betray each other. There's the Johann wannabe guy.
Johann 2.0 is what I'm calling him.
Johann 2.0. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. I don't think he's quite as Johann is. He's
He's
kind of
trying though.
trying hard to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take over the world. Oh, you shot my ear.
That scene when he was like, "Did I get it right? Was I right? I was right, wasn't I? That's what happened in your childhood. Your mom, she froze to death because of you." And it's like
Right.
when he was trying to convince him to kill Eva,
Yeah.
and it was like he almost got it there, but because he wasn't as skilled,
Right.
his own will, his own life views was able to beat out what he said.
Yeah. And he survived basically by hiding in the closet, whereas Johann survived by manipulating everybody and getting everybody
Supposedly.
supposedly.
I'm still I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop because there's a lot there's a lot that's confusing about what Johann is able to do. And two, also we need to talk about it seems like everything that Johann and Johann 2.0, which I think his name was Christoph or something like that.
Yeah, he's given a name at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like everything they're doing is largely motivated by revenge, which is a very reasonable motivation.
Yeah.
Um, not that I approve of their actions, but very reasonable motivation.
I mean,
Um,
we're not real fans of Bonaparte either. So
no, no. However, there are a lot of things that Johann does that don't seem motivated by motivation at all. Like
yeah,
the little boy that he sent into the red light district
yeah,
just to watch him fall. And the kids that he sent up on the rooftop to just watch them fall.
right.
The foster families that were supposedly very good to them that were not involved in all this
I
as
mean,
far as we're aware.
the very first one they meet, apparently Johann did them in. You see them with,
Yeah.
I don't know how
Even
to,
Nina, her foster parents that she had that she loved deeply, he killed them just to get to her. So there's a lot of
yeah,
things that don't seem motivated by revenge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
how are
weird.
you feeling about Johann at this point? Like he's
Oh,
becoming more sympathetic, but he still seems pretty pure evil.
yeah. I think he's been turned into something. And as a little kid, if that's done to you when you're a little kid, it's hard to say, well, it's
Yeah.
all your fault. It's
Yeah.
not. But at the same time, I don't think that lets him off the hook. I mean, I
Hmm.
think he's a severely damaged, traumatized person who is
Hmm.
inflicting a lot of damage and trauma on a lot of other people. So
Hmm.
it's, and not everyone who goes through that necessarily. We see other products of that.
Grimmer.
Grimmer, why isn't he killing people and he's not like Johann. So
Hmm.
obviously, and it's an interesting question to ask because you talked about revenge. That's a big theme in here, and
Huge.
what it does to you as a person, what you sacrifice in the course of obtaining that vengeance. You see it with the dentist who goes after Peter Kapek, or however you say his last name, glasses guy. You see it in Tenma's struggles, and Nina and Tenma both are trying to prevent the other from becoming what you become when you're driven by vengeance. So
Yeah.
there's all these really interesting, I think, questions about humanity wrapped up in here. And Johann, the fact that I can't completely condemn Johann because of what was done to him as a kid is something that I'm struggling with right now.
Oh,
Because,
really?
yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a part of me like Johann is evil, he's
Mm,
horrible, but there's another part of me that's, well, wait a second. If what was done to him had been done to me
mhm.
when I was a kid, what would I
Would
be?
that not alter your worldview?
I think a wee bit, yeah.
Mhm. I
So,
think we as humans have a tendency to categorize
yeah,
evil, good. Those
yep,
are the boxes.
right,
And I think this is one of those stories where you just kind of have to remove yourself from those boxes and say, you are a product of what was done to you. This is not something that you chose because you're pure evil. However, you do have free will to an extent as an adult, and you are causing so much harm. You are committing evil. So we can be sympathetic of what caused you to get here, but at the same time, you have to be removed from the freedom that you have at the moment because you're stealing so many other people's freedom and life.
yeah.
So it's one of those where you can be sympathetic, but at the end of the day, he still is perpetuating that evil of his own volition.
I think, unless we don't have free will. So sorry, Murphy.
Oh, we're gonna go there, are we?
I mean, we could. I don't think that Urasawa necessarily really gets too much into that, but maybe Grimmer turns out to be the way he is because he had that one friend while he was in 511 Kinderheim, whereas Johann didn't have anyone. I don't, or what was done to Johann prior to arriving at 511 Kinderheim. Also, it seems like that wasn't done to
I
everyone
struggle to
else.
believe that Johann didn't have anyone. He was in multiple foster
Well, he
homes
had
with
Nina.
love.
He had
He
Nina.
had
That's true.
Nina,
Yeah.
he had parents that wanted to adopt him, that wanted to love him. I I struggle to think that he had no opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, I mean, he was dealt a hand very different from what I was dealt.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
I can't imagine how different I would be as a person and my world perspective would be if I went through what he went through. So there
Yeah.
has to be some grace given, but at the end of the day, I can't believe that he never had the opportunity to see goodness in the world.
Yeah. Well, and then you do have characters like, okay, the bodyguard, Martin,
Mhm.
or Martin, who makes some choices, and we learn more about him. And yes, he's done some. He did a bad thing when he killed the his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. He did that in a fit of, because he was, yeah, there was probably jealousy in there, but there was also, why did you get her back on drugs? You
Mm,
horrible person. She was cleaning up her life. We were making a future together, and you just screwed it up. He didn't even think through all that. It just happened in a millisecond, probably, and he grabbed
yeah,
the
it was a
gun
crime
and
of
bang.
passion.
So I feel like we see his terrible mistake, which he is really paying for a lot. It turns out his whole thing about not wanting to get involved with women and all of that stuff. I mean, it's part of his past, and he's told kill her. In other words, Eva, and he makes a decision not to do that. Right. So
Mhm.
that's an example of somebody who's dealt a pretty crappy hand. His mother died, and in spite of, wannabe Johann's attempt to manipulate him in that scene, he doesn't fall for it.
Right.
And even though, yeah, it does look like some of those guesses were very accurate about the mother and her alcoholism, and the way in which finally, as a little kid, he gave up in a way by leaving his mother after dragging her home so many times. And there's the question too. I mean, I think I have my answer, but it's a question that's posed there. Was it a merciful act for him to leave his mother in that particular instance? Because he had been dragging her home, she's saying, leave me, leave me, leave me, and this little kid, I mean, in the end, of course, it's a horrible thing for him to have to think about, right? That
Yeah.
Did you let your mother die? Did,
Yeah.
did you let your girlfriend die by walking out when you saw her with the ex? Um, to what degree is Martin responsible? He feels a terrible weight of guilt for both those things, but yeah.
I think that kind of harkens back to Tenma as well. Like, what level of responsibility do you have for other people's actions?
Mm-hmm.
Tenma saved a life, and then that life went on to take many.
Yeah.
And just the same, this little child,
Mm.
chose one time not to drag his mother home and chose to walk away from a scene. Um, and how responsible are you for other people's actions?
Right.
And I don't know how far Urasawa is going to take that question. I doubt he's going to answer it for us. I
Probably not.
imagine, yeah, I imagine he's just trying to create many scenarios and let us decide.
Yeah, I absolutely right. And I think that's what uh most good writers would do.
Hmm.
Good storytellers don't tell you what to think. They pose the questions and say, all right, go.
Let you sort it out. Yeah,
Let you struggle because there aren't easy answers to a lot of what we're talking about here.
sure.
I
I
really don't.
mean, I think Tenma's answer is pretty easy. You're not responsible.
Yes. Yeah. Tenma tries to console him. And that's an interesting relationship there because he does beat up Tenma at one point pretty badly, but they kind of bond in a way too because they both love Eva in a way. They're both concerned for her. They're trying to save her, and Eva does this whole weird thing. How about we talk about her for a bit? Because she gets him Tenma's tie, and she says, "I'm such a horrible person." Yes, you are, Eva, but maybe you're not the worst person.
Oh yeah, she's got some competition for that title.
Yeah,
But yeah, she is. You called her self-destructive at some point.
yeah,
And I think that's accurate. I think there's a lot of self-loathing. There's a lot of identity issues with her. Who am I? What's my purpose? What good am I? And she kind of uh, responds to those questions by just pushing people away and being hateful and cruel,
yeah,
self-entitled, all those things. But she obviously regrets it. I mean, she obviously feels a tremendous amount of guilt for how she treated Tenma, for how she treated Martine.
yeah.
Um, but she keeps making bad choices.
Yeah, including when Tenma tells her, all right, the best thing you can do for me now is to go to Munich, get together with Dr. Reichwein, tell everybody what you know. And of course, we know as soon as he says that, she's not going to do that. No, she's going to save the day or try. And I'm a little bit concerned for her future, but
Yeah, it comes back to that revenge thing.
yep.
She finally found someone that she could see a future with legitimately, and she lost him, so she's like, "Well, I'm gonna kill Johann too." At this point, I think we're gonna have like 6 guns pointed at Johann at the same time.
No, it's who's going to get there first.
Who's gonna get there? I mean, Nina.
Nina is
I
there, but
I'm expecting, I'm gonna call it now. I Okay. The scene where Eva confronts what's his face, Johann 2.0, and
yeah,
he's like, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." And then he ends up getting the gun from her and pinning her down, and he's ready to kill her. And then Tenma comes in at the exact right moment to
yeah,
stop the scene. And then he finally gets that guy, Christoph or whatever his name is,
right,
to tell him where Johann is.
yeah,
And Nina's there right now with the gun aimed at him. Like, I'm gonna call it that this is gonna get played out exactly the same way, where
yeah,
Johann's gonna get the upper hand, and then Tenma's gonna come in at the exact right moment. It's like it's gonna be that again.
yeah. We'll see, I guess. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. And in the meantime, though, too, there are certain characters that, like this creep, that's
Yeah,
Peter Capek.
Peter.
Nina doesn't kill him.
No, she doesn't.
And there's also Johann wannabe, Johann 2.0, who doesn't get killed either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of everybody has a gun and everybody's happy to point it. But it's not there's a lot of not wanting to be the one to actually or wanting to be the one to do it, but not having the will to do it.
yeah. But is that
Um,
a good thing
is
that,
that a good thing? Yeah, that's
yeah,
the question, isn't it? Because obviously that will affect your life forever. But at the same time, we got to stop evil somehow, and the police in this series are completely incompetent. So
yeah, no, they're not going to accomplish it.
we can't trust them with anything.
But I find it interesting because I believe that Johann thought that Nina would kill Peter Capek in that scene. Like he had set that up. And
Um,
Johann was wrong because she doesn't kill him. And I
mhm.
wonder what the repercussions of that might be. Because it's an interesting question. And I don't like Peter Capek. He's a total creep who does a lot of
Oh,
harm and causes kids to kill themselves and all kinds of
absolutely.
things. Why doesn't she kill him? Would it have been justice for him to kill him, for her to kill
Hmm.
him in that scene? And that's I think a legitimate question. But
Hmm.
the fact that she doesn't, there are consequences there, starting with on her. Like she doesn't do the thing that would turn her into the person who commits an act of vengeance.
Yeah, I think she's trying to save that moment for Johann because that's not something that she wants to do. It's not something that she wants to become, even if it's justified, even if it's for the greater good. So she might just be thinking, like, I can do this once. So it's got to be Johann because she approaches Johann with the gun, aiming the gun at him. Like, she obviously still wants to take him out. And I believe
Right.
herself as well. Um,
But why doesn't
which is
she do it?
interesting. What's that?
She doesn't do it though. I mean, not, and obviously
Not immediately.
we're at a climactic point here, but I mean, there's the whole flashback with her as a little girl holding the gun, and then she's a grown woman
Yeah, so she
holding the
does
gun.
try to kill him once at least when she was a little girl. She did shoot him in the head. And then here now we've got that all over again where he's pointing to his forehead and he's saying, "Shoot me right here."
And of course, she's not doing it though, because she's gonna tell him a story. I'll tell you a really terrifying story. And
Ah.
that's when we get the final panel where I'm back. And that's this innocent looking Nina, right?
Mhm.
So, what story is she going to tell Johann? Is that going to be the story of what happened to her while he was having stuff happen to him? I'm not sure, but I hope that's going to give us some clarity in all that. And if why tell him a story? Why doesn't she just shoot him? You know, I have a. This is my. I don't know. This is, I guess, where we stake our claim, we make our prediction, but I'm thinking she's not going to kill him.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What do you think she's gonna do?
she's going to tell him a story.
Yes, I think that we're finally going to get the answer on what happened through that dialogue, and that'll also give Tenma time to catch up and get there as well, so that we can have the true climax. So
Right.
who do you think? What do you think's gonna? Is someone gonna shoot Johann? Is Johann gonna get shot, or is he gonna run free and we're gonna have an open ending? Is Lunga gonna show up at the 11th
Where's
hour?
Lunga? Where's Lunga? Where's my man?
Is Eva gonna show up? Because Tenma told her he left and he told her just go home. I don't want you involved anymore. Eva's not that kind of girl. So she's gonna show up too. So what who shoots Johann, if anyone? Does Johann go down? We've got the next time we meet, we will know the answer. So what's the answer, Philip?
The answer is all these people, Lunga, Eva, Tenma, Nina. Who else is trying to shoot Johann? I mean, there's probably a few others.
I mean, what about the girl who killed
Grimmer,
Baby?
maybe Grimmer will show up too. But yeah,
Maybe Grimmer. What's
her
the
too.
purpose of her? Is she gonna show up? Why did she randomly kill Baby and then leave?
They're all going to show up. They're all going to have their guns pointed in a circle around Johann. They're going to shoot and they're all going to hit each other. And Johann's going to be like, oh, okay.
And everybody will die but Johann, and then he will
Yeah.
take over the world.
Yes, he'll take over the world.
Good ending. That would be something, wouldn't it?
I think there might be a few angry fans if that were the ending. But
Yeah, it may not be considered a masterpiece.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't. I'm very conflicted about what I want to happen,
Mm-hmm.
which is, that's good storytelling, I would say.
Mm.
Because yeah, me feeling conflicted about what I want to happen
Yeah.
and therefore not being able to guess what's gonna happen is a good thing at this point. but it can't last.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think thematically because we had such an emphasis on revenge here
Yeah,
at the 11th hour. And like, don't take revenge. He wouldn't have wanted that for you. That's what Tenma was telling the children.
right.
Yet Tenma is off trying to kill Johan, not for revenge, but he also has a child who considers him family, he's given that child new hope for his life. And
Yeah,
he's not really thinking about that. And then we've got Nina, who thinks that she's doing it for the greater good, but there's also some conviction. We have Johan, who seems largely motivated by revenge, but also has other. So I don't actually know thematically what we're doing anymore. So I can't even say, okay, let me follow that thread and then make an educated guess off of that.
yeah, yeah. I feel the same way, and I still don't. I don't. I don't understand Johan's end game other than world domination slash destruction, and
I think
everybody having
destruction is probably the answer. I don't think
destruction more like,
domination is,
yeah,
yeah, actually a motivator for him.
and nobody with a name. And is what it okay? So why is he getting all these serial killers to kill people? Right. That we see Dr. Gillen interviewing these serial killers, and he's like, "So why did you kill this one? Because this one doesn't fit your
He
pattern."
liberated me. He gave me permission to start murdering.
Yeah. We made like we have an assembly of creeps here that we keep, and they're trying to get into this. Okay, what
Yeah.
is these people?
Johan has some sort of detector where he's like, okay, yeah, you've got murderous tendencies in you. Um, let's just kill them all. And they're like, "Ah, answer. I
Right.
will."
And he just writes a name in the sandbox, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I know what you want me to do."
Yeah. Yeah. There are scenarios like that where it's like, okay, I was this person just like literally waiting around for someone to say, you could just kill people. And then they're like, okay, yes, I can. Like that
Yeah.
seems so easy. Like he doesn't seem like a master manipulator there. It just seems like that guy was desperate for someone to write a name in a sandbox.
Right. And I feel like one of the police officers in the story, because I'm like, okay, why these people? What's the connection? Why does Johan want these specific people dead?
Yeah.
And they're not middle-aged couples. What do they know? Um, what are they standing for? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm confused. At least somebody's
Yeah.
happy. We get Carl and Lotta together, it looks like,
Oh, they'll die.
They're not middle-aged yet.
No, I'm just kidding. They won't die. I do. Yeah. I mean, what? Oh my golly, what if one of them comes back and that's the killer? That's the one that does it to Johan.
I don't know. But
I
I
I,
know
I
one thing.
have I have
Go ahead.
some amount of frustration at this point in the story.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Again, this is not my genre, so that's a factor.
Right.
But yeah, it does feel like there's a lot of intentional withholding, intentional, like Nina's like, oh, I'm on the brink of remembering everything. And then Dieter's like, but you don't have to. Murphy doesn't need to know. I'll stop her from hearing any answers, you know? And, or like Johan, it seems like his job is so easy between the police all being incompetent and people just like, okay, yeah, I will kill. Like, I don't know. It's not feeling good right now. So
Uh,
I really, really hope that when we finally get those answers and get that breakthrough, it'll all come together. I'll see that intentionality. Things will start making sense. And I
right.
can eat my words and say, oh, okay, that was great. I
Right.
really, really want that.
I hear you. I hear you. And I know this was a real tragic loss for you, but
Yeah.
poor baby.
Poor.
Poor
Whoa is
baby.
him.
He's I mean, that was super obvious though. Like when he says, "Well, because you're so nice, I'll just let my bodyguards have the night off." And I'm like, "Oh, he's dead." And he's with this woman who's totally manipulating him. But okay, who is she and how
And
is
why?
why? Yeah.
Probably Johan said, hey, you know what you could do? You could just start killing. She was like, what? Okay.
No. Johan wrote baby in the sandbox. And she's like, what? I'm not a baby. No, baby. I don't
That's
know.
right. All right. So I've royally made a lot of people mad with not feeling good about this one. So how do you feel? Tell me, are you feeling good about it? Be the good guy.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I am equally confused and wondering if these loose threads are going to make sense. Like, okay, who are these people? Why are they being killed? And what does this have to do with all of this? If Urasawa pulls it off and is able to tie all these threads together, total respect. I mean,
Absolutely. I hope
yeah,
that's what happens. I
yeah,
want a satisfying ending. I would
yeah,
love to also love this thing. I
yeah,
am feeling frustrated right now. So
yeah,
hopefully that's all part of the plan and I'm supposed to be frustrated and now I'm going to get the reveals.
right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm genuinely dying to know what is behind all this. So that element of what actually happened in the Red Rose Mansion and who was Bonaparte, why was he doing all this? That I'm still feeling driven by all these questions.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for the reveals. I'm excited to see what happened. And the ending with Nina saying, "Okay, I'm going to tell you something,"
Yeah,
and we see the other scene again. We finally see the scene from another angle. Like that's exciting to me. I want the answers.
yeah,
I'm very excited about learning what was going on in the Rose Mansion. What was Bonaparte's real, like what was he truly doing? How does this all tie in? What role did the twins play? What happened to like I want these answers. I think this is a fascinating mystery.
yeah,
I just again, it might just be because mystery isn't my genre. And so I'm frustrated by the blockades. Like how many times I feel the author's hand,
yeah.
where it's like, here comes a reveal, but no. And I'm just like, of course.
Well, and then there are two key characters that we've only seen in flashbacks. It seemed like we probably should be seeing them. One is Bonaparte, and the other is the mother of the twins. We've been told she's alive. We've been given major hints that Bonaparte is alive, and told that that's a guess on the part of some of the characters. Where are they? Where are they?
Where are they? I know. Yeah. So Urasawa has a lot of work to do in this next bind up. There's
Yes.
there's so much. And I do think that to give him credit, I think that it looks like he's set this up in a way
Yeah.
that it can be reveal, 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 and then those big reveals can tie a lot together.
Yeah.
So I think that he can do a lot of work in a short amount of time
Yeah.
because the threads are all there. Like he's sewn this story together already. He just
Yeah.
needs to give us the last bit of information and then we'll be able to do a lot of the connecting.
Yeah.
So I am hopeful. I got to be honest, So like I'm being transparent about where my frustration is at the moment, but I am really, really hopeful that it will all tie together and that it will blow my mind and I'll be made a fool at the end of this and I'm like, this was amazing. And I just experienced the frustration that I was supposed to be experiencing in that moment.
Right. So what we're hoping for is a concatenation of big reveals that are just going to be boom, explosive, each one. And then we're going to feel blown away at the end of this with the last volume. That is what we are hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to love this. So here's
Yeah.
hoping.
We shall see, Merphy. We shall see.
We shall see.
And we're going to see what that story is that Nina's going to tell. So I hope it's not a creepy children's book. Here, I'm going to tell you a story, y'all, and she gets out a book.
Oh my goodness, imagine. Here's another story by Bonaparte. And this will give you more clues and will leave the whole thing open-ended.
Ugh. And then they all shoot each other.
And then they all shoot each other. They all try to shoot Johan. Nobody's been formally trained with a gun, so they just shoot each other.
And Johan's like, wait, what the?
Yeah, it is pretty impressive that Ava, who, as far as we know, has had no formal training, was able to shoot him in the ear and miss.
I'm super impressed.
That's an impressive shot.
Yeah. I think she did it on purpose.
Yeah,
think.
That's the
Yeah.
impression she gave.
Yeah.
Maybe she was going for the head and she got the ear and then she was like, I did that on purpose. I'll shoot you in the head next.
Maybe she was improvising there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, anything we missed here from all of this? I mean, I think we hit the big things pretty well.
Yeah, I think it was good.
I think we're good. So we shall see. I am so looking forward to the final discussion.
I am
And
too.
we're gonna probably, after we discuss the ninth bind up, which is volumes 17 and 18, we're gonna have after that also a get together where we just do a series reflection wrap up thing as well,
Yeah.
just so people know. But yeah, that's where we are now, folks. So thank you, Merphy.
That's
for
where we
this.
are. Thank you.
Oh, this
I
is
feel
fun.
bad. I know I've made so many people mad in this chat. I want to love it, so hopefully I will.
Actually, I think you're
I
in.
think I'm supposed to feel some frustration in this moment.
I was just about to say, I think you're probably right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of there too. So
Then show it so that I'm not the bad guy.
oh, okay. Darn it, Urasawa. Come on. How's that?
That's beautiful. I love it.
Okay.
All right. Well,
you.
then thank you, Philip. I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, me too. And thank you everybody for putting up with us and our conjectures and our lack of knowing what's going to happen. We're going to get there.
We'll get there.
All right. All right, buddy. Till next time then.